Good morning. How are you today? Good. Faith and gratitude. The gospel reading clearly illustrates the movement of grace from isolation to communion. I'm going to take it again. Today's gospel reading clearly illustrates the movement of grace from isolation to communion. The worst form of leprosy is spiritual leprosy because nobody here is a leper. But in one way or the other, we are spiritually deformed. And that takes us away from God. So there is a need for all of us to actually follow this movement of grace from isolation to communion. It serves two purposes. One, reconciliation with God. And two, reconciliation with one another. And of course, with the community where we find ourselves. Existential condition describes how we actually experience life. The tangible reality shaped by sin, fear, pride, and suffering. Because of human weakness and sin, we often feel disconnected, not only from God, but also from others, and even from our true selves. In today's gospel, the 10 lepers lived on the outskirts of the city, cut off from their families, places of worship, and their communities. Their situation showed a deep sense of exclusion and loneliness, serving as a strong reminder of how sin can affect the human soul. We all go through this in our own ways. We get hurt, withdraw into ourselves, struggle with feelings of unworthiness, and slowly lose our connection to community and fellowship. In our darkest moments, Jesus does not ignore our condition. He enters into it. He goes in. He enters into it. When Jesus encounters people, he sees their immediate reality, their pain, sin, sickness, poverty, fear, or social rejection. He meets the lepers in isolation. That is where he made them. The adulterous woman in shame, the blind man in darkness, and the tax collector in greed and loneliness. These encounters are the turning points that lead to the restoration of their true identity. When we meet him, something profound occurs. He doesn't just heal our external circumstances, he touches the very heart of who we are. He restores not only health, but dignity, not only belonging, but identity. Just as he told this Samaritan leper, your faith has saved you. Jesus heals more than the body. He restores the soul to communion with God. An encounter with Jesus awakens us to the truth. I am not my failure, not my illness, not my sin, not my shame. I am a beloved child of God. He transforms the negative views we have of ourselves. That is our essential identity, who we truly are in God's eyes. Our core identity isn't determined by external circumstances, but by God's love. Let us underline that, by God's love. We are made in his image, created for relationship, and destined for communion. Even when sin or suffering distorts that image, it is never destroyed, only hidden. Jesus restored that divine likeness in us by revealing the truth of our being, that we belong to God, that we are loved, and that we have a purpose. However, the sustainability of this relationship and purpose relies entirely on faith and gratitude. Our response to God's mercy, love, and generosity is to thank, praise, and show appreciation to God, the giver. The other 9 lepers experienced the same physical healing, but the Samaritan saw more deeply. He understood that his healing wasn't just a change in his skin, no, but a transformation in his life. A gift that pointed to the presence and power of God. That is all we need. Jesus himself reveals the meaning. Stand up and go. Your faith has saved you. Faith in this story is the ability to look beyond the surface, to see not just the gift, but the giver. Most time, we are only interested in the gift, not the giver. And that is why we keep asking and asking and asking. God, give me this, give me that. I want this, I want that. We are not interested in the giver. But to actually get deeper understanding of God, we need to be interested in the giver. The Samaritan's eyes were opened not only to his healing, but also to the one who healed him. Gratitude became the language of his faith. Can gratitude be the language of your faith? Think about it. As Christians, until gratitude becomes the language of our faith, we cannot see beyond the surface. Dear brothers and sisters in Christ, we often miss opportunities to reconnect with God because we fail to recognize the true source of our blessings. None but this foreigner has returned to give thanks to God. None but this foreigner has returned to give thanks to God. We have lost numerous opportunities to return to God. This is like the 9 lepers. We often receive God's gifts, health, protection, success, forgiveness, love, but we don't see them as gifts. We enjoy the blessing, but forget the giver. We experience healing, yet we fail to return to the healer. Each moment of grace serves as an invitation to reconnect with God through praise and thanksgiving, to strengthen our relationship with Him. That is the only way we can strengthen our relationship with God, going back to Him for what He has done for us before. When we overlook these invitations, we miss chances to grow spiritually. Every Christian needs a transformation of conscience, of consciousness that fosters inner awareness. Our way of perceiving reality. A transformed consciousness views life through the eyes of faith, recognizing God's presence in all things. But when our consciousness remains untransformed, when we focus only on what is visible, material, or immediate, we become spiritually blind to grace. We see the surface like clean skin, no more leprosy, but not the source, God's mercy. Gratitude is not meant to end with word of prayer. No, it must overflow into our relationships and actions. That is the movement of grace. From isolation to communion. It doesn't stop at prayer. Action. He took a step forward to go back to God. Can you do that today? Can you take a step forward to come back to God? It's left for you. The Samaritan leper didn't just feel thankful in his heart. He turned around, moved by gratitude, and returned to Jesus. His thankfulness led to action. Similarly, true gratitude isn't silent or private. It shows in how we live, how we treat others, and how we serve. When our hearts are genuinely grateful to God, it transforms our view of those around us. We start seeing others as vessels of God's love, channels through which His grace flows. Every act of kindness, every helping hand, every encouraging word becomes a small sacrament of God's presence. God bless you.